Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. I just want to take a moment to thank you all for your support over the last few months as the news cycle for royal news has certainly been in the headlines. And we want to thank you for dealing with all the commercials and your continued support. It really helps us out. And in today's royal news, Piers Morgan's take on all this was shared in the New York Post. Piers writes, "It didn't take long for the first laugh-out-loud lie to spew from Prince Harry's mouth in the transatlantic TV tour for his new autobiography. After penning 416 pages of nasty, repulsive vitriol about his family, he insisted to ITV's Tom Bradby, 'Nothing of what I've done in this book or otherwise has ever been with any intention to harm them or hurt them.' This was the royal equivalent of Bill Clinton's infamous 'I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky,' denial of something everyone, including him, knew to be 100% true. The cold, bitter reality, and we're talking Siberian levels of seething, icy resentment here, is that Harry fully intended to cause maximum harm and hurt to his family with his literary weapon of mass destruction. That's been his relentless mission since quitting the royals, Britain, and public duty 3 years ago. Far from seeking the privacy he pretends to crave, he's coughed his confessional guts up to anyone prepared to give him a massive fee to trash his family. Far from seeking the privacy he pretends to crave, he's coughed his confessional guts up to anyone prepared to give him a massive fee to trash his family. From Oprah and Netflix to Spotify and now Penguin Random House, it's making him stinking rich, but at what cost? The more Harry proclaims he's never been happier, the more wretchedly miserable he looks." Piers goes on to point out, "Other revelations are appalling for the way they target defenseless people in his past who now face global public humiliation." Both Piers and Harry use the name of the woman in the following section. We are going to change her name to Jane as we agree with Piers' point on this item, although Piers did use her name. "He is especially horrible about a matron named Jane. At an unnamed prep school of whom he writes, Jane wasn't hot, Jane was cold. Jane was small, mousy, frazzled, and her hair fell greasily into her always tired eyes." Piers asks, "Imagine what this woman, assuming she is still alive, must feel reading this, or what her family must feel. Nothing is off limits. Prince Harry even revealed that his brother William is circumcised." Piers concludes with, "As I have said many times and reiterate now, Harry and Meghan must be stripped of all their remaining titles with immediate effect, and they shouldn't be allowed anywhere near the coronation in May. They've made their treacherous bed and they can lie in it, just as they lie about everything else." In the Daily Mail, Maureen Callahan echoes Piers in questioning Harry's floating narrative on royal racism and specifically calls out Tom Bradby. Callahan writes, "If Harry and Meghan don't believe the royal family is racist, why didn't they correct the record at any time over the past 2 years? Why not clear up that odious falsehood in their Netflix docuseries, or Meghan's podcast, or in this pathetic memoir, Harry's Flogging? Why did Harry and Meghan allow the woke media to fight what he now says is a non-existent battle? And why did they fly to New York City to accept a humanitarian award for standing up to the structural racism within the British royal family? Buckingham Palace tossed aside after a race-related dust-up at Camilla-hosted event when a black guest claimed Hussey was inappropriate. Meghan and I love Susan Hussey, Harry said. We think she's great, and I also know that what she never meant any harm at all. You know, for someone who bangs on about wishing that the people who knew and loved him best would stand up for him, Harry's lack of self-awareness is beyond belief. Imagine if Harry and Meghan had raised their hands while Hussey was in the thick of it. The British media Harry loathed so much, accusing Hussey of being an old white racist, and said, hey, wait a minute, that's not the woman we know. But that wouldn't serve Harry and Meghan's agenda, would it? Callahan also commented on Harry's Good Morning America interview. Michael Strahan asked Harry a very straightforward question. Did the late Queen ever express anger towards Harry? Harry's answer? For what? He's either just that stupid or just that defiant, but he can't be both. To Strahan's other obvious question, you left the royal family, so why not just leave all these grievances behind? Harry loved another head-scratcher. I can't ever get out, he said. I'm sorry, was that not the entire point of Megxit? What is this, The Godfather? Palace Intrigue will be right back. Camilla Tominey in The Telegraph calls Harry the most confused spare in history. She takes a look at some previous spares. During the reign of Richard the Lionheart, youngest brother John tried to usurp him when he went off to fight the Third Crusade. George, the Duke of Clarence, was famously so resentful towards his eldest brother Edward IV that he attempted to overthrow him no less than 4 times. Then we had Queen Mary conspiring to imprison her sister Elizabeth I in the Tower of London, and the folly of George III's brother Edward, which brought George's reign into disrepute. More recent experiences with Princess Margaret's hell-raising and the Duke of York's many controversies shows this is a problem the Windsors have yet to solve. She goes on to take a look at Harry's relationship with his father and brother. No one is denying that this sensitive soul wasn't terribly damaged by the sudden and tragic death of his beloved mother. It is disturbing to read that he wasn't hugged upon learning the news. But Harry seems to mistake seriousness in the rest of his family for a lack of feeling when, seemingly without him realizing it, the book actually suggests the opposite is true. The king, for instance, comes across as far less stiff upper-lipped than most royal fathers. This is a man who was scarcely hugged by his own parents and, according to Harry, was so relentlessly bullied at Gordonstown that he thought he might die there. But when the dreadful news of Diana's death came, he tried his utmost to break it as gently as possible, patting Harry's knee and reassuring him everything would be okay. Harry's portrayal of William is similarly confused. Described as his complete opposite and arch-nemesis, William is depicted as so enthralled to the throne that he appears heartless, trying to deny Harry the right to have a beard on his wedding day, and banning him from giving his best man's speech due to concerns he may offend the VIP guests. But Harry unwittingly reveals the strength of the love William so clearly has for a brother he fears has lost his way, and his account of that dog bowl scrap in Nottingham Cottage. Why would William get so angry if he didn't care about his brother? Rightly or wrongly, William had formed his own opinion of Meghan. It must have incensed Harry to see his own flesh and blood take the views which were also widely held among the staff, to whom he clearly felt a sense of duty. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue, and good times.